Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister and asks, does he stand by his statement that, quote, the government will build the effectiveness of New Zealand's public transport networks, end quote, and, quote, will be working closely with the Auckland Council as they develop their strategic plan for the city through the Auckland Spatial Plan?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes and yes. I've just come from the Auckland Summit where we were discussing the spatial plan and where I specifically outlined the government's commitment to public transport in Auckland.
Metiria Turei.
If the Minister is now confirming that his government supports Auckland Council's vision of a compact eco-city supported by strong public transport, why then is virtually all new government transport spending for the next decade dedicated to motorways?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I'm not quite sure that the member's actually right in the assertions that she makes, and the purpose of the spatial planning meeting today in Auckland was to get all of the stakeholders around the table to look at what the future of Auckland might be like. And as I said in my remarks in Auckland, there'll be a wide range of aspirations from Aucklanders about where they live and what form of transport they use.
Metiria Turei.
Given that in the last decade the central business district of Auckland has attracted more residents and new office jobs than any other part of Auckland City, isn't this a very clear sign that the aspiration of many Aucklanders is they don't want to live on lifestyle blocks out far from the central city with long, expensive commuter drives stuck in traffic?
The Right Honourable Prime
Well, Mr
Minister.
Speaker, as I just said, there'll be a range of aspirations from a range of Aucklanders. I'm not entirely sure the member's actually right that the bulk of jobs are created in Auckland. I mean, my information may be out of date, but when I looked at it prior to the election back in 2008, from memory, only about 11% of jobs are in downtown Auckland. That's one of the issues actually with Auckland, is it's extremely spread out, and jobs are spread out right across the Auckland region, and people do a lot of commuting as they live in one place, play in another and work in another.
The Honourable Shane Jones. Oh,
the Prime Minister.
Order. Can I just check? I take it this is using an independent member's supplementary question? Okay, I apologise for that. Honourable Shane Jones.
To the Prime Minister, how reliable are his commitments to Auckland public transport given the forecasted decrease in the NZTA fund due to petrol excise tax revenue being down?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, we intend to honour the commitments we've made, and that was one of the things I said to Aucklanders today. It's also one of the reasons why we always have to be careful with promises that we make and make sure that whatever promises we make can both be backed up in terms of funding and also with the appropriate benefit-cost ratio. And I know it comes as something that's quite a foreign concept to the opposition to actually have to find the money before you spend it, but on this side of the House, that's sort of what we do.
Question number 12. Point of order, is it?
Parliamentary.
Well,
so I think there may be some confusion.
Let me just check with... according to my records, Labor have had 27 supplementaries today, which means they had one of the independents' supplementary questions. The Greens have had 7 supplementary questions, which means they've had one of the independent members' supplementary questions. I'm not sure whether a further... 2 extra supplementary questions have been used today. There are no more. Both questions available from the Honourable Chris Carter have been used today. Labor used one of them, and the Greens has already used one of them, and therefore there is no other. Let me just check. There's something. Let me just. I take it that Labor. The Honourable Shane Jones was using one of the progressive supplementary questions. I beg your pardon. It helps if the Speaker is advised of these, and I should be. If I'm to accept these additional supplementary questions, I should be advised beforehand. But that's for the future. Metiria Turei, supplementary question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And yes, we understand and we do advise the office. My question to the Prime Minister, will his government listen to the people of Auckland and prioritise public transport over the new motorway spending his government plans, so that Auckland has a chance to become the world-class city that it can be, that doesn't have to rely on increasingly and predictably expensive oil imports?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, once again, the member makes the assertions from the people she hangs around with in Auckland and not necessarily all Aucklanders. But if I can just give her one example of that, I might add that building roads allows public transport to take place. As last time I looked, buses actually travel on roads. And let's take the Puhoi to Wellsford road that the government has committed to. It's a highway of national significance. On that road, on any one given day, 27,000 people use that road on any one given day. When it comes to commuter rail in Auckland on any one given day, 24,500 people use it. So, Mr Speaker, it looks to me like the government's got its commitments and its priorities in the right place.
The Honourable Shane Jones.
To the Prime Minister, given
The member started his question again. The microphone wasn't on. The Honourable Shane Jones.
Speaker, Prime Minister, given his stated commitment to public transport in Auckland, why does he allow his Transport Minister to be so antagonistic against the Super City Mayor Len Brown?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, he's not antagonistic. As I said earlier, I know it's a foreign concept to Labor. I know they promised $1.3 billion worth of tax cuts with no idea where the money's going to come from. I know they promised $5 billion worth of spending with no idea where the money's going to come from. I know when they get the acid put on them, they say it's desirable. And I can assure you, last time I saw the Minister of Transport and the Mayor of Auckland, they were in some sort of group hug. It's not antagonistic.
Point of order, the Honourable David Park. Order. A point of order has been called.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. Once again, you allowed the Prime Minister to have a rant at the opposition, which turned into a speech, and after about half an hour, you closed
The member
him
will
down.
resume his seat. Order. I'm on my feet. And there'll be enough interjecting from ministerial benches. The member should just reflect on the question that was asked. The question that was asked alleged that a minister was being antagonistic to the mayor of the city. That's to invite a response that is perhaps not quite what the member might have wanted. But that kind of question, there's no way I can stop an answer that is pretty political when the question is that political. And the remedy for that lies in the hands of the questioner. Members will notice that today, where a member asked a very straight question on my left here, I put some acid on the minister to answer it. But where a question is asked that alleges that the minister is being antagonistic to a mayor, don't blame the speaker if the minister, in this case the Prime Minister, gets a little bit political answering it. The Honourable Order, a point of order is being dealt with. The Honourable David Park.
My point of order was not that the Prime Minister was being political. He was quite entitled to be political in response to a question of that. My point was that once again it was not a concise reply. Standing Order 377 says that they ought to be concise, and for the second time this sitting, sir, you have allowed the Prime Minister a great degree of latitude to make a speech rather than give a concise reply.
Order. I'm on my feet for good reason, so there won't be this kind of interjection. And I'm sure the member doesn't really want me to implement that standing order too tightly, because I'd be ruling out so many supplementary questions. Order. The member knows not to interject when I'm on my feet. And I believe, the member is implying that I haven't been even-handed. Twice today I've invited members to repeat questions where I've believed ministers haven't answered the question adequately. On another occasion I actually asked the minister specifically to answer the question. If that member who's been in this House a while thinks back to the reign of previous speakers, I've never known that by previous speakers, and that was just in one question time. So I think the House is doing rather better in terms of opportunity for the opposition to get straight questions answered. And that brings us to question number 12, Todd McLeay.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister.